Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, welcome to the Win with Dice podcast. Podcast all about. Wait, what? What am I doing?
The intro.
My brain farted for like a second. I know. Where am I? Hey folks, this is the Win with Dice podcast. Podcast all about tabletop RPGs, running them, playing them. Calvin and I played a bunch of games, run a bunch of games, and we like to take a casual approach to GMing, and we would like to talk about our games, and so you guys can get a picture of what it's really like to be on the other side of the GM screen. So maybe you might want to join us, and flub up your intros too.
We'll try not to. I mean, we've only been doing this about a couple of times.
Oh, you're showing. Oh man. It's going to be a good day.
We take a casual approach to GMing to hopefully make it clear that it's not as difficult as you might be thinking it could be. For example, I have a one-shot game that I can talk about today. Some of it was very last-minute prep. A lot of it was, especially when it came to the characters I was making. So we can get into that and how much of a terrible idea it is to decide, well, I'm going to pre-gen a bunch of different characters, even though I don't technically have to. But before we get into all of that, we have to get to the most important part of the show, the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week.
Yes, the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week, brought to you by Ramon. Didn't mess that up. So it's gonna get good. All right, so tip of the week this week. This is going to be about bosses and kind of, I guess, bad guys in general, and kind of like theming them. So the tip I have for you guys is to maybe not think about, like, I guess, like the CR or like the battle rating or I don't know, whatever the point system allocated for your game. But think more about like the themes this bad guy represents. For instance, if a bad guy is like mischievous, mysterious, or like crafty, or like, it's very tricky to deal with, I would say, maybe find something in your whatever monster manual or like NPC templates if you're doing Lancer to find like bits and pieces of other things and smash them together, like give it abilities that allows it to live that kind of fantasy of fighting like a crafty thing like that. And then in terms of like if this thing's like a boss bad guy, think about what kind of minions and lieutenants and those kind of creatures who kind of fit that build and would be associated with it, right? Like the whole classic like dragons and kobolds, right? Dragons are super powerful, but it's only one dragon. But you could have a shit ton of kobolds and they all kind of worship the dragon, but everything's still kind of reptilian, everything's still kind of magical, and that kind of stuff. Or like, for instance, Lancer in general, you're building kind of teams of bad guys. But, if I think that like if for instance, like maybe you're fighting a bunch of SSC type mechs, maybe you just stick with all the mechs that are really fast or have a tech to be able to like shoot really far away, or like generally that kind of stuff, right? So just kind of pair the idea of what your bad guy is versus like looking for the bad guy in the book, how it is, right? So
yeah. Also, I
find very good success.
I was just going to mention also like using their tactics as a way to represent them, like not just their stats, but like how they attack, how they move. Are they stealthy? Are they right up in front? Can they take on a bunch of people? Do they prefer to stay back? And like, what does that say about this boss creature as a character? Especially if it's like one that's an event, something major that you've been building up to. Tactics should be part of it as well.
And even smaller encounters, like pairing, like a good example, since I've been thinking about the pirate campaign, is Falzor. Falzor was actually a boss encounter. It was a long time we talked about Falzor. Falzor is just this little tiny alchemist halfling who was kind of, I guess, simping for the bad lady, or bad guy lady, and right, because she's big and tall and hot, so I totally get it, literally on fire. But Falzor is also not an upfront fighter. He likes to play tricky, so like the area he fought people in was like at this warehouse where he was able to hide. He also had a bunch of traps everywhere because he doesn't like confrontation. Also, like, he has the ability to just throw a bottle and summon a ooze to cause even more chaos. But kind of just that kind of deal. Falzer was like one bad guy. He had some HP and stuff, but I just kind of picked some stuff and put the whole thing together. So you gotta think of like your whole bad guy conflict holistically, I guess. But yeah, that's the tip of the week. There you go.
Yeah, consider themes and tactics when making bad guys.
Yes. Don't just be like, this dragon is CR7 and I'm gonna put it with this cow who's CR5. I don't know why cow is CR5, but yes.
Unless you're like me and you're prepping a game at the last minute.
Well, I don't know, man. Maybe the cow is the dragon's best friend. Like, the dragon can only confide in the cow, right? Like, it's like, cow, you get it. And cow's like, moo. And she's like, oh, cow, you're so right. That would be a pretty funny encounter.
The cow speaks
There you
Draconic.
go, folks. That was just for you. Yeah, the cow speaks Draconic.
I mean, yeah, like, you could definitely
secrets.
have those things if you figure out the connections or why they are together. And you can also have things that are like, well, you have an army of a specific kind of creature or a specific theme or specific ideology or whatever, so they'll have some similarities between them.
Yeah, don't forget dragons and cows, they like each other, so.
Yes. That's
Totally
canon
good.
now.
Okay, cool. All right. Enough of this flip flam. Let's get to the episode.
Okay, so I recently ran a game for the Crown of Dragons group, but it wasn't a Crown of Dragons session. Just because I wasn't super happy with where my prep was for that at the moment. I'm still working on the Willy Wonka dungeon for them, using the outline that we came up with in the previous episode. I'm still like the outline. I just want to make sure the dungeon is fun when we all actually get to play it together. Although it might be a while until we do, but that just gives me more time to prepare, which hopefully won't turn into doing it last minute, as many things usually do. But the group was getting together, and I wanted to run something, and I was initially thinking of doing some Lancer stuff, but I thought my friend's brother would be joining us, and I thought he would want to play Pathfinder, because it's what we mentioned before, so I switched to a Pathfinder thing. And originally, I had some other ideas and stuff, but I finally settled on something that was essentially just looking at the plot threads that were kind of left behind by the main campaign, and thinking, well, what happens if a handful of lower-level adventurers have to deal with this thing?
A B team? Oh, I love B team.
Basically.
I'm so excited for B team.
Like most things, I started them off with you're just members of the Adventurers Guild and you've been assigned to a task, because quite frankly, there's no time for meeting in a tavern in a one-shot.
Yeah.
Although maybe it would have been fun.
You need it every minute you can get, you know what I mean, in a one shot, trying to crab as much stuff in as possible, right?
Exactly.
That's how your one shot turns into like a 3-shot.
I was trying to avoid that, because it happens a lot. So yeah, originally I had like this whole thing involving like the Dwarven society and my homebrew world and stuff like that, but then I ended up just changing things up. And they were sort of tasked with... So recently, in the campaign, which we talked about a few episodes ago, they passed through a small town that one of the characters is from. They helped root out some bandits that were threatening the town. They did some family stuff, because that character's sister's captain of the guard there, so they did some catching up, things like that, before they headed off. But the bandits were still somewhat of an active problem. It was just that the party had other things that they had to deal with at the time. It was essentially like you took care of them in this immediate space and we're okay for now, but we know where their larger encampment is. It just happened to be like in the exact opposite direction of where they were going. So that was pretty much the simple setup, and I was making some characters for them. I ended up deciding I wanted to make about like 8 or so pre-gens. And in my head, I was like, oh, I've got Path Builder. I can throw together some level 3 characters, no sweat. But there was some sweat. It was just a matter of me, like, I really should have just gone with, like, characters that were already made, or, I know Foundry has a bunch of pre-gen characters, including some that aren't, like, the typical Pathfinder iconic characters.
Right.
But for some reason, like a fool, I didn't do that. So I ended up making
Okay, so you made eight whole new characters instead of maybe working on the one shot. How many hours you spent on this, Calvin?
Look, I was in the car over to my friend's place with the Path Builder app open, finishing off these.
Wait, on the way to the place you made these characters?
Yeah.
Jeez. Styling like
Look, I have a
DM,
problem, and I keep leaving things to the last minute. That's what I'm trying to. That's one of my habits I'm trying to break that I don't want to do with the next session of the main campaign. But that's a lot of what happened here. I did have some. There were a couple of these characters that were like. Some of them were just like character ideas that I had that I didn't get to do anything with, like a catfolk rogue and a sprite barbarian. Like I've been thinking about for ages. Some of them were characters that had come up as NPCs in different campaigns. So in our Fateseer campaign, you came across Quentin, a hunter from that town that was being attacked by demons. So he was there as an option, because that's just basic human ranger. And there was another character by the name of Emma, who was first introduced like very early in the Fateseer camp, in the Crown of Dragons campaign, just as a guard for like a lumber camp, who mentioned that she wanted to be an adventurer, and the party hadn't been back there.
Oh, Emma made it. Wow, nice, Emma. Good job. Yeah, we're all proud of Emma for making it to the Adventuring Guild.
She finally did it on her own. She made it after all.
Yeah, that's dope. I always love it when like the random guard becomes a part of the party somehow. It's like,
yeah, that was pretty much what happened with.
Yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that was pretty much what happened with the character that Macy liked in your campaign. Like my character Macy liked in the campaigns you were running before, in the Eneon campaign. Actually, no, not even in the Eneon campaign. When he was first introduced in the previous campaign, he was just a guy. And then he rolled really well a couple of times, and we were like, we're adopting this guy.
Oh yeah, Quinn turned himself into a ongoing NPC, a major NPC, by rolling a couple 20s in a row, and therefore the legend of Quinn was born. I love Quinn. Too good. He was the first hot boy out of all the hot boys I've ever created, and started this hot boy trend.
Certainly my favorite. I know there's Helen's first mate, Jasper, but he is Jasper, he falls second next to Quinn.
Fair. Not yet. He hasn't shown him his final hot boy form yet.
Well, if there's more to him, I will happily wait to see it. So the characters they ended up going with, one of them was Kur Zinjaru, this half-elf monk, who was trained in the mountains to be really good at fighting. Joran Clearbloom, a halfling champion who I had previously made as a quick character for someone to hop on with. I made it to match with the party, so I had to scale him back to level 3. Although I did forget some of the items that he had, so Joran ended up kind of being the main character. There was Short Cloak, a gnome sorcerer with some very interesting undeadish spells. And then Thistle, the sprite barbarian.
Yes. I hope Thistle was the one that made it out.
We'll see. So, an additional thing to this, a complication that I created for myself, because this is the exact problem I would cause for myself. Joran, again, was supposed to be part of the dungeon that the main crew just went through. I created him for another player to hop into. So that meant I had to do some fiddling with the timeline, because canonically, if Joran's going to be in this adventure, it would have to be before the party went to the dungeon they just went into, but after they left the town. So I kind of had myself like a 2-week gap where this adventure could fall. But the problem that I left myself was that if Joran died on this adventure, then it would mean that it would no longer be canon, or at least couldn't be canon at all, which would be fine. But I just really wanted it to be. I wanted to have like this random small story that happened within this world.
So you took the risk.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
I was prepared to let the dice fall where they may.
Okay.
So we started off with...
I would have just kept NPCs that like the players would never see again, or like completely new. That's like too much risk.
When I first put him in the list, it was just a matter of like, I have him already, so I'll just scale him back a bit. It wasn't until we actually started going and then characters were actively in danger that I was like, if Joran dies, the timeline's messed up. So the canonicity of this adventure depends on that one specific character.
Where's the TVA? She should show up and fix this.
Gotta prune the timeline.
Yeah.
So yeah, they started off just heading from a larger city into the town of Dunshold, again, where that player character is from, and they met the captain of the guard, Athilda Ordric. They were all also, because it was a party of like a halfling, a gnome, a sprite, and a half-elf, so they basically just needed one horse, because the half-elf was a monk with the speed of like 40 feet.
Yeah.
So they show up to this town on Joran's horse. They meet up with some guards who take them to like a local inn. And again, like this is because I had all this stuff built out. And for some reason, they remembered that the main meal in this city was like boiled duck sausage or something like that. I don't know why that made such an impression, but it did. So they were able to just like, they met these guards, they took them to the inn, they said they could meet with the captain in the morning. And just to throw a wrench into the mix, there were a couple of guards there who were at the inn at the same time, and one of them wasn't very happy about having to call for outside help, especially when part of that outside help was like this literal 1 foot tall fairy creature.
Oh, true. Is it like wrestling time?
Sort of. Yeah, so the guard got a bit drunker, tried to challenge Thistle. Thistle's authority, as it were. But Shortcloak, the gnome sorcerer, intervened, casting fear and making that guard think better of continuing. As he spoke with like this deep voice and created like this skeletal image, the guard just like bailed out of there entirely. Which was fun.
Okay. Damn. Should have been like Thistle like wrestles this dude to the ground, being like very, very tiny, like a foot.
I think Thistle did just try like some
picking
intimidation.
This dude up and like chucking him. Yeah, just picking this dude up and just chucking him out the door, like. Yeah.
I think Thistle did do intimidation at the time, but it didn't turn out very well compared to the guard's will DC. Although I would say, like, between Thistle and Shortcloak, I think between the two of them, the guard was probably pretty wise to get out of there.
Yeah, fair.
But the next day, they were able to meet up with the captain of the guard. They did recognize the two guards they were talking to from last night, who were... the one that tried to start the fight was apparently still a bit hungover and trying his best not to let anyone notice. But they met with Athilda, the captain of the guard, who gave them some more information, told them where the main bandit encampment was. This location on the coast called Falcon's Point, where like this old lighthouse was that they seemed to be working out of. They also learned that the bandits had gotten their hands on some sort of mechanical creature from a larger city to the north that has like a focus on like mechanical stuff. Basically just me seeing things from the Guns and Gears book on the Pathfinder wikis and whatever and wanting to use it.
Oh, it's that same place with that dragon.
Yes.
I mean, yes. Ooh,
the mechanical dragon.
What's that dragon's name again?
Kaivanth.
The wyvern. Yes, Kaivanth reborn.
Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe that could be a one shot.
And
he doesn't have to be canon, but that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, the guy that they gave Kaivanth's tooth to, the collector of dragon parts, he is using it to power that machine, so who knows how that's gonna go.
Oh, please, Calvin, please. Calvin Reborn, it'd be so good. It'd just be like Frieza, he like never dies.
I have ideas, don't you worry. But yeah, they were able to get they got a half dozen health potions, and they also got any horses they would need. Again, because the main party came through here, I had a list of horses that the guard had available. So they picked a couple of them, Thunder Ranger and Skyflame.
Oh, Thunder Ranger, Skyflame. Damn, man. Some good horses.
Yeah, there was also Snow Sparkle and Flashbolt, but they didn't need that many horses.
If they ever come back to that town, they should just be like, "Oh man, it's Thunder Ranger again."
Yeah, these horses have experiences.
Keep track of where all the horses are. Yeah, you should keep track of all the horses, like where they end up. It'd be really funny if they wound up with the same horse again. It'd be like, this horse is leveled up. You can go like 10 feet faster.
Maybe. Oh, I should see if I kept track of who picked what horse when the main party came through. I don't remember if I did.
Yeah, because like maybe like they can remember, like the horse can remember who used it, so maybe they get some benefit of like sticking with the same horse.
That would be fun. I'll have to look at my notes for that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
extra horse mechanics in Calvin's campaign.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to do it for every game. I gotta remember the random caravan that the Fate Seer party went on.
And then eventually we'll start remembering the horses' names, and it'd be like Thunder Sky. Oh shit, that's like the level 5 horse. It has like plus 7 feet to its movement or something. And it can climb uphill. It's all terrain.
It's gonna be even better because the druid in the main party, I'm pretty sure they have speak with animals at this point.
Oh shit, man. He's be like, I seen some stuff. Don't worry, I'll get you where you need to go, boss. Trot.
Just catching up on their adventures.
Yeah. It'd be funny if like if you could talk to the horses, and the horses, if you keep track of where the horses been in between the campaigns or whatever, it'd be really funny if the horses has like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this dude in this town. And there's like this secret underground horse network where like the druid can tap into because the horses go everywhere.
The horse info network.
Yeah, the horse info.
The Pony Express. I don't know, I'll work on it.
Oh yes, the Pony Express. That sounds pretty good.
So yeah, they got the horse.
Secret horse network.
Horse network of info because the horses travel a lot, right?
Yeah, I'm being serious, man. This sounds pretty good. Like, I might steal that. It's just like,
it's funny because that was the same thing I was doing with bards, with my secret network of bard spies, because bards travel a lot. But I don't know. I guess horses can do it too.
But the real underground network is like the secret horse Pony Express. Nice. There you go, folks. Sarah's, if you ever need a secret organization, horses.
Perfect. While they were there, though, Joran also took a moment to like wink and flirt with Athilda, which totally caught me by surprise, and additionally caught Athilda by surprise, with a insight. Perception, whatever is in this game, Joran's player was able to tell that Athilda was like impressed because Joran's like just this halfling, and Athilda's like, you know, big strong sword lady, that typical archetype. So she was like impressed that he would try, and I don't know, maybe I was shipping it a bit.
You're always shipping everybody, Calvin.
I am a sucker for I fall into ships very easily. And it was just another reason for Joran to survive.
Just another reason.
So yeah, they set off. I got a survival check. It was a critical fail, which added a day onto their travel time. they were able to stop to rest. And I was gonna do something, but then, so this is the fun of doing a one-shot, is the players get to do random silly voices, and they get to mix up the things that they do. They get to be a little bit more irresponsible. Because while Jorn was taking first watch, Short Cloak snuck up and kind of pranked him, like, using a spell to, like, throw his voice and make it sound like there was someone nearby. And then when Jorn's looking around, Short Cloak just snuck up, getting a crit also on stealth, and then just taps Jorn's shoulder, and then Jorn turns around, completely startled, and they start arguing a bit, and that's when Kerr, the monk, wakes up in the commotion, and then throws a dart, like, towards where he was hearing the noise coming from, and then, I just had them do, like, a 50-50 thing to see which person the dart was actually going towards, either Jorn or Short Cloak. Fortunately, it just barely missed Jorn. But then Jorn was like... Jorn and Short Cloak were like, oh no, we're under attack. And then Kerr pretends nothing's going on, and then Thistle wakes up, and then they're all awake and, like, all ready for a fight.
But nothing's there. It's just two idiots.
Well, the funny thing about that is...
Oh no.
There were actually a bunch of bandits that were just watching them do this the entire time.
Nice.
And yeah, and then we got into the first combat, which was just a basic, the party against a number of bandits. Just a small thing for them to get a chance to, like, do something specific with their character, or just, like, to get used to their characters a bit. And yeah, everybody, like, at least got to land at least one killing blow. Thistle managed to take a bandit out as he was running. I think that was the one that got javelined in the back, and then the javelin just kind of, like, went through, and then that guy was just, like, propped up for a moment before falling down. Kerr used his monk flaming fist to, like, burn a bandit's face.
Woof.
Yeah, this party's pretty brutal. Short Cloak used Bone Shaker, which I recently got some use out of with, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the cute NPC in Fateseer that everyone loves.
Brima?
Brima, oh my gosh. I don't know how I forgot Brima, it's been a long day. That I recently used with Brima, and managed to, like, dance one of the bandits around like a marionette before throwing him. Joran, of course, moves up with pompous swagger and laughs as he takes down another bandit. And then, yeah, Short Cloak was able to take out the last one with just a blast of a spell. So they all got to, like, they all got to take someone out, they all got to do something. I think that fight went pretty well for a one-shot where everyone's playing different characters. And then, yeah, Kerr picked up his dart like nothing happened.
Like, yeah, I threw this at a bandit.
So, yeah, the next day comes, they roll for a random encounter, and an owlbear pops up.
Classic owlbear.
Classic.
Out for vengeance.
Yeah. Yeah, it came at them. It managed to grab Joran, who tried to escape but rolled a critical fail, used halfling luck, and then rolled another critical fail. So Jorn ended up being knocked into dying by the owlbear. And then it went for Thistle, who also got grabbed, but Thistle was able to kill the owlbear with the team's help. They got Jorn back on his feet. They stopped to rest up. The next day came, and so this would have been when they got there, but because of the crit fail on survival earlier, it did take an extra day. The only thing that really happened this day, though, was a icicle snake trap, which they were able to sort of, like, escape from. They tried to...
Ness.
Yeah.
Classic icicle snake trap, Calvin special.
I just really think they're cool.
There's just gonna be, like, way more icicle snakes all around your world now.
It's the middle of winter, so yes. Except in the Fateseer campaign, where it's, like, fall, I think. So.
Yeah, I think we're a little off the timeline a little bit.
Yeah, I I can't remember
yeah.
like the specific months. So yeah, no icicle snakes for you guys. But yeah, they did some stealth to try to avoid it, and then some athletics to escape. I played it as more of a skill challenge sort of thing than just a straight up combat, just because we already did like a straight up combat, so mix up the pace a bit.
Yeah.
And then we get into the next day, and then this is where my notes get a bit sketchy because I got super into this combat. And depending on the title of this video, you might know what happened here, but I almost got a TPK. Just as a result of me like seeing a creature that I wanted to use that was sort of on the upper end of what a party of this size and level could take, but not completely balancing out the combat. I feel like if I made some slight changes, they might have made it, but overall, like, only one of the party members made it out alive.
Oh, so close, Calvin. You almost got that achievement.
DM achievement, TPK.
Yeah.
So the party sneaks up to Falcon's Point, and they can see this ruined lighthouse with a broken bridge leading to it from off the coast. They get a bit of local history in that this place is very popular with like bandits and pirates and that sort of thing. It used to be a well-made like port area, but after getting ravaged by an attack from undead, it was kind of left in disrepair. Just a bit of world building that might be relevant or completely irrelevant. So they got up there, they saw like a small crew of bandits and one of the larger ones that seemed to be a leader, and they were all surrounding this big machine. So this machine was something called a dig widget, and it is essentially a device that's used for like drilling and like it's got one hand as a drill, one hand as a corkscrew, and it's a rank 5 thing. And I just wanted something in that range that was a construct, and I saw this and it was like perfect for what I wanted. Just because I've been wanting to do something with a mechanical creature, but hadn't had an opportunity to do so. And I thought, this is perfect. I did have to modify it slightly, because the creature is normally tiny. So I kept largely the same stats because it's already a CR5 creature. I just made it a large size.
Right. Okay.
And, it has a pounce attack anyway, so it's not like there's too much to worry about with regards to speed. It was already pretty fast. Arguably, I could have changed its reach, but that wouldn't have mattered, as I would soon find out.
Okay.
So yeah, the party got in there. They tried to sneak up a bit, but they got noticed, and then combat started. Some of the lesser bandits moved up with some pretty terrible dagger throw attacks, if I'm being honest. So they kind of had to switch to their short sword. The bandit leader stayed back using a short bow to take some shots, and then the machine moved up. And this machine was pretty brutal. Essentially, the way it normally works is that it has a attack that's only one action, which is pretty sweet, called a fastening leap, which it moves 20 feet and then attacks something with its drill arm, essentially grabbing the creature if the attack succeeds. And because the way grab works, a creature is flat-footed towards whatever is grabbing it. And because of that, it could use, it had sneak attack, which I don't know why they called it sneak attack, but I mean, I guess this is how sneak attack works. They're just going to call it something else. But essentially what it had was that it could do an extra d6 of damage to flat-footed creatures.
Yeah. But typically these things are supposed to be small, so it's like that's why it has sneak attack. So it's
like that makes sense.
It surprises you.
I mean, it didn't make sense for me because I made it large, but it is like literally how sneak attack works. I guess it makes sense. I feel like you're not really getting snuck up on if you feel a drill drilling into you, but
yeah, but you could just call the ability just we're drilling it back to you, or giving you the good old screw. Like, just like if you're flat-footed, oh man, it's gonna screw you pretty good.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I might have done the same thing. Like, just use the sneak attack mechanics, but call it something else. But yes, essentially, what this creature was doing was it would leap 20 feet and attack in one action with its drill. And if it hit, it would do some pretty nasty damage. But additionally, it would then use its corkscrew on its other arm. Because the creature was flat-footed, if it hit, it would do an additional d6 of damage. And
that's what we call a double dip.
Again, like, this is on the upper end of what a party of that size and level could handle. And I was thinking maybe if there were a couple less bandits. I mean, the bandits were, like, very inconsequential. Like, their attacks weren't that useful. They had to spend a lot of time getting close to the party. They only had, like, 20 HP, so for the most part, they were gone by, like, the second or third round. They might have helped with some flanking very briefly, but it didn't make, like, a large difference, really. The leader was a bit more of a problem because he stayed back so far and was decent with the short bow. But then he got, like, engaged with some melee combat, and that slowed him up a bit. But this creature was, it was kind of a monster. Largely unintended. I don't know, they might be able to take it on solo, but they didn't, and it kind of started tearing its way through the party. So I'm trying to remember the exact order of things that happened. Just so I can specify more, but I don't have it in my notes because as the fight was going on, I was just like a bit too into it. But it kind of got down to the party and the machine left. The machine was still running wild. They got the sense that if they were able to take the tools from the bandits and then use it on the machine, they might stun it for a bit. But no one was really able to land the check to do so. And then people just started going down. It was that conga line of, like, someone's down, you try to get them back up, and then you go down, and you try to stabilize and everything. And again, stabilize is a very limited thing, and only one person had it, and when they went down, that's a problem. And people were, like, either using their own potions or taking potions out of people's pockets to, like, shove them in someone's mouth. So I think it was Kerr that fully went down first, because at the time the player had to, like, step out for a bit, but we came back around on his turn right when he came back, and then so someone else rolled the death save for him, just because I think they were feeling particularly lucky. Unfortunately, they rolled a natural 1 on that death save.
God, ambulance.
But specifically for you, yes. So, Kerr went down while trying to do some death saves. And then the same thing happened to Short Cloak not too long after. Don't recall what it was for the death saves, but Short Cloak was on, like, dying 3. So, again, like, the way dying works in Pathfinder 2, if you're not aware, you have a dying value that'll count up, and you're trying to roll a d20, trying to get over 10 plus your dying value, and if you get below, your dying value goes up by 1. If you go above, it goes down by 1. If you get a crit either way, it either moves by 2, or you just recover, or you just die. And normally creatures would die at dying 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, Short Cloak was at dying 3. He has to roll a d20 to get over 13. Failed, and then he was out. So it came down to Thistle and Joran. And at this point, that is when, because it was a new day and everything, Joran again got drilled by the machine, got stuck to it and corkscrewed. But he was able to escape, having to use his halfling luck to do so. And then at that point, I think Thistle went down as well. And then it was just Joran left standing. And Jorn had some choices to make as to what he would do next, because he was not doing very well in terms of health, and no one was up except for him. So yeah, it was a debate on how canon would this adventure be. But Jorn made what I think is the smart choice and ran away. Running back to the horses, Jorn was able to hop onto his. The machine itself, so because of the machine has a speed of 30 feet, the horse has a speed of 40 feet, so in a chase situation, the horse is going to get away, but the machine was just close enough to make one final attack attempt. And this is basically what it all came down to, is that one final attempt from the machine. And it just leapt up, took a swipe, and just barely missed. As it sort of like drilled down into the wet earth surrounding this lighthouse. As Jorn ran away, he could like look back over his shoulder and he would see that like Thistle at that point had failed the last death save. So Thistle, being a sprite, sort of like poofed back to the Fey realm, which isn't technically how Fey player characters are supposed to work, I think, but I've been treating like any alternate dimension thing that dies in the material plane that way in my game, so
they just get dusted back to wherever they go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Makes sense.
Like I've been doing that for like fiends and Fey and everything that dies, they just go back to their home realm. So that is what happened.
That makes sense. Yeah, you gotta kill them on their home turf. That's why they really die.
Exactly.
But good luck.
So I guess technically Thistle is still alive, but Shortcloak and Kerr were not able to survive this adventure. And I nearly got a full TPK.
What did we learn?
We learned to balance our encounters better. Again, like this was just like, oh, this party can handle something up to this level. There's a construct here. It's got these cool weapons, and it's a robot thing. I'll make it larger. That's not going to really change much because I'm not changing the stats. In fact, it'll just be, I don't know, maybe they can surround it better or something like that. So,
well, did it have any like weaknesses or whatever?
So the creature, as written, has something called mechanical vulnerability, where if you have an expert proficiency in thievery, you can attempt a disable device check, and if you succeed, that deals 20 damage.
Oh, okay, cool.
Unfortunately, though, I don't think anybody had expert proficiency in thievery, just because I don't think they were. No, they might have been high enough level. The rogue might have had it, or they might have had stealth. Mm-hmm. But like I knew no one had it, so essentially I was going to have it so that they could make the thievery or crafting check. Although they didn't really have much in crafting, but they could make the thievery check if they wanted, and it wouldn't do the damage, but it would stun the creature for a time. It's just that, I mean, they got close to the DC a couple of times, I think. But they weren't able to actually get it, and it was a thing that was like, I wanted to give it to them, but they just didn't hit the DC that they needed. And then,
well, you could have given them a part way, like you weren't able to deactivate or stun it, but you're able to like, oh, you jimmied the panel open a little bit, so now like the stuff's a little bit more exposed. I don't know when the fight you realize that you might kill them all. But at some point, you probably were like, this needs to be a little bit easier.
I will say, like, I was thinking maybe I could adjust, like, just have it slowed or something like that. But it seemed like it would be kind of a moot point.
The problem is like, it's not like you need to debuff it. You need to, like, get the players to kill it faster. Because you don't have to, like, it's all about, like, the number of actions it has in total, right? So, like... If the players are able to kill it faster, like maybe make it vulnerable for like, I think vulnerability is different in Pathfinder. It's not double, it's like a set amount. But like, yeah, maybe like any sort of check, if it was good enough, you could make it like vulnerable a little bit, right? Just to bump up the damage a little bit, or make it easier to hit because like some of its armor's gone, or hell, you could even just be like, all right, man, if you crit on this roll, the drill goes inside of the robot. And it drills itself.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Just kind of go ham with it.
Yeah, I think in my head, especially because the fastening leap was like one action, I was kind of thinking, like, you have to stop this thing for, like, a whole turn if you want this to be effective, because it's just hopping around, getting all of you. It's kind of weird to me that Fascinating Leap is, like, one action, because it's a move, it's an attack, and a grab. Technically a grab.
Did you up its HP or anything like that?
No, I didn't change any of the stats on it. I made the Bandit Leader a weaker version of something they had fought before, just because they weren't the main deal. But
did you change the AC to when the creature got larger?
No, I just kept the level 5 stats. I just made it like a large token.
Okay. And normally small, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I mean, did they miss hitting that thing a lot?
Looking back, I'm just trying to recall. They didn't do a ton of damage to it, but there was a point where it was like they were mostly just trying to survive. It was surprisingly decent at its saves. I do recall that.
True. Maybe it was one of those scenarios where it was like less of like introducing the robot immediately and maybe introducing it after some of the bandits have gone down, and like maybe they could like get into position a little bit better before this thing was like, it's jumping time.
Yeah. Before it was hopping around.
Hulk smashing everybody, hopping around, bopping people.
Yeah, I think I could have like given them other ways out and things like that, but I mean, on the other hand, like, it's a one-shot. It's okay if these characters die. And Joran survived, which means this adventure gets to remain canon.
True.
Joran has to go off and disappear in a portal dungeon in a week.
Oh, what a crazy 2 weeks this man had.
Joran has an eventful life.
Jesus, man. All his friends died, and then he's like, bloop. Funny.
So yeah,
okay, cool.
Joran was able to make it back to the town of Dunshold. He made his report. Athilda was there, just, had a drink with him and comforted him. And who knows where that's going now that Joran's back to being an NPC.
Man, you should have that robot show up again, like in the next mainline campaign. Just like.
I will say, I'm thinking about doing some adjusting to my random encounter table, because there's no one around to control the creature anymore, and it's just stuck in like kill mode.
Just terrorizing the local area. This machine just hopping and bouncing on people and booping them. Dang, man.
Yeah, it could totally be in my random encounter table. Although it's a regional specific random encounter.
Yeah, maybe you could be like, it has some wear and tear, so it's maybe you could be a little bit less, or maybe it could be a little bit cooler because it's like a little bit more scrappier.
Maybe. I mean, like, the main party could, like, just smack this thing about no problem. So it'll have to depend on what game it comes up in.
Fair,
I wonder if the Fate Seer party could handle it. Maybe. Because they have Brima. No, you're too far north.
Yeah, also Brima would just get pounced on, because I know you, Calvin. You always like set Brima up to get wrecked, and you do it subconsciously. You're like, yeah, I got Brima in range, and then it's like, oh no, I put Brima in range.
You might be right. It might be subconscious.
It's always like, I gotta get Brima up there, and then it's like, oh shit, I gotta target Brima. It only makes sense. And I'm like, Calvin, you son of a bitch.
If it happens 3 times, then it's subconsciously on purpose. So far, it's only twice. It could just be a coincidence at this point. If it happens a 3rd time, then I'll know that I have a problem.
Yeah, it's correlated, right?
But yeah, no, I'm happy with how it turned out, because everyone still had fun, and I got my bloodlust out, so now I don't have to worry about killing the main party.
You're tempered. Now you get to have some fun.
Yeah, like I was just planning for this to be like a small, like, they go up there, they fight some bandits, the bandits have a cool thing, and then they fight the cool thing and they come back. But now, because again, the benefit of playing in the same game world, now I have some threads that are out there, because the machine is out there, Joran had a thing for Athilda, maybe. And Thistle is back in the Fey realm.
Plotting her revenge, eh? It's the machine killed all her friends.
Heck if I know.
That'd be a fun sewer note to go down. Like, it's like, oh, by the way, if there's this machine still rampaging, yo, give him one for me.
I have ideas, but we'll see if they work out. And then I still have the other characters that I made. I think I'll try to smooth those characters out in case I need to do more one-shots or whatever. And I can reuse some of these. But otherwise, I think I like how the game turned out.
Cool.
I'm very excited to make my own Sprite Barbarian if I have ever a reason to make a new character for a game.
Alright, well, we gotta finish up some campaigns first before you play in any of my games.
It's always the way, though.
Whatever that is.
Nah, man, I get it. It's always the way, though. Like, as like a GM, DM, whatever, like you're always making characters that you don't get to use them, so you just use them as NPCs.
Or you play the same character over and over again. A la Duke.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it works out for Duke. But yeah, that was that.
Well, you know what? Yep. Soon, I was gonna say soon there's gonna be a council of Dukes.
That would be fun. I do want to see the entire Duke family.
Oh man, could you imagine if all the Dukes show up and then the anime music starts playing and it's just like so fast?
Are they all like different people, or are they all just gonna be like dressed the exact same? Are they gonna have different styles?
Well, obviously they're all gonna have different styles.
Okay.
Maybe. They all have their own Duke style, but they're all generally Duke. They're like all these dudes. Like maybe there's like an emo Duke, and then there's like a kawaii Duke. Like there's like a lot of stuff. Man. Like, all just
like this cool heavy metal Duke. There's one with like the slick back hair.
Yeah. There's the gangster Duke, like
all different kinds.
The smart Duke, but no one likes that Duke. That was kind of lame.
Oh no.
The Poindexter Duke. Yes, I love it. And then like the Council of Dukes show up to save the day because the players fucked up. That's what it's gonna be. In my Lancer game, it's just gonna be a bunch of Dukes show up. They're like, "Don't worry, we'll clean up your mess, kid." Just like.
Yeah, if you do a Lancer one shot, then that's what the characters should all be. Just various Dukes.
Oh my god, that's so good. It's like, oh, you get to choose Duke 1, Duke 2, Duke 7. Which Duke do you want?
Yeah, they're all like
they're
just
all
completely
piloting Nelsons. Yeah, they're all piloting Nelsons. That's all you get to choose to drive. It's like, that'd be so funny.
Yes. Well, see, now you have plans.
Oh, damn it. Now I have to do that.
Well, if you want to see that.
They all call each other.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just before you go to the outro, they should all be called, like, they all reference each other, like, the numbers from, like, Umbrella Academy. Like, 3 and 2. Or whatever.
Oh, man, I gotta watch that show. But if you want to see the Duke game, if we stream it, or hear about it if we talk about it, why not just go under this video and tap on that subscribe button, and be sure to ring the bell as well so you get notified whenever we upload new podcasts or new gaming streams. I'm ready to flow into the outro. Ramon, is there anything else you wanted to say before we get before I start mentioning our cool friends?
No, on to the cool friends.
Well, of course, we got a bunch of people linked below that you should go and check out. Additionally, there was a recent bundle link that I had shared on Twitter. The indie bundle for abortion funds that I'm just going to link below if you guys want to check that out. I'm not sure how long that's active for, so I'll just put the link and you can go check that out. Additionally, as always, I want to shout out the Untold Stories Project channel, where I'm at every week playing in their Starhaven superhero game. If you want to see my character, not completely unhinged, but the hinges are very loosened. Definitely go check that out. As well, they're having another crossover coming up soon. You know how fun those crossovers are. This one is going to be a larger event. They're going to detail more about it soon, so definitely check them out. It'll be the week after this goes up, so by the time this goes up, the next episodes will be the crossover episodes. Because it'll be a 2-night event. And I think that's going to be it for this episode. Our episode of this podcast. Anything else?
Made it, folks.
we got there. We did it. Without killing the entire party. Right. I swear I will never kill a player character again.
Yeah, okay. Alright, man. Let's all be real, Cal.
6 is enough for me.
It's so funny. You've killed way more players than I have. By a lot, actually. But I'm the GM that has the rep for being the most lethal somehow. Nah, whatever.
It's because I'm the quiet guy. No one expects it. And then suddenly out of nowhere, boom, giant machine with a drill.
True. Alright, folks. Calvin's gonna say his outro.
Well, to everybody out there and all our parties who don't want to be totally killed, and all the DMs who want to totally kill them, just remember to keep on winning with dice, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, folks.